Night Vision. Following clues left by our ancestors, we unbury the past to reveal a knowledge of unfathomable value, putting us just a little closer to our own true birthrights. From the secret history of a possible bloodline of Jesus Christ, the secret history of America's founders, to the secret history of extraterrestrial interaction on our planet, here to bring light to the night. Your host for Night Vision Radio, Renee Barnett.
Just kidding, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with us there for the first few minutes. That was crazy. I want to thank you for joining us this week. And what a week it's been. It's been so busy, and I hope you guys had a good week. But even if you didn't, I hope you're able just to sit back and relax with us tonight, because we've got a great show planned for you. You will notice as we go on that our beloved and eminent historian James Martin is not with us this week. Unfortunately, he's lounging on a tropical beach somewhere on holiday while we're stuck here. So anyway, want to say hello to James and hope to see you next week. He may never come back. Who knows? I don't know if I would. He's in a beautiful place. I've been receiving lots of pictures, and maybe he'll share some of those next week when he comes back. But tonight, talking about chaos and craziness, I mean, there's so much going on in the world. I mean, I could name a list as long as my arm and still not be done. But just some of the major things that, we've been looking at over this past year, the horrible war on Ukraine and in Ukraine, the amazing uprising of women in Iran that we've just not seen. Now, I understand that there have always been young women protesting, but I think it's just the sheer volume and the fact that now they've got some allies and men are coming out and protesting too. But also the situation in China. Now, that is something we've never seen. Certainly not seen anything even close to it since Tiananmen Square. But this has even surpassed that in my estimation, and most of the pundits, I think. But what's really unusual about this protest is they're not just protesting the COVID lockdown, which of course they are, because, as we know, they have zero COVID. They have locked everyone in their houses. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, there was a fire in an apartment building, and because the government has barred their doors shut, locked them shut, they cannot leave their buildings. A lot of people perished in that fire. And so people are just disgusted. But for the first time, they're actually protesting directly against President Xi. And that is something that normally they do not do. They normally will protest policy, but not against their supreme leader, because it's just not done. But it's being done. So it made me wonder, what in the heck is going on? I mean, I don't even want to get into all the chaos in our own country, but, we see it all over the world. There are skirmishes and wars and all kinds of things. So I thought, gosh, I'd like to get some insight on this. So who do we call? We call Master Astrologer Matt Gleason, and he is joining us now. Whoops. I messed that up, Bill. This is not my night. Anyway, Matt, thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Renee.
Oh, I appreciate it so much. I don't know what in the world is going on, literally. Now, when you were on before, I know we talked about Ukraine. We talked about Putin, and we talked about Zelensky. And I guess the Ukraine is kind of almost easy to look at because it's such a new country. I think it's like 31 years old or something like that. And so you were able to easily, well, I guess any country, you go what on the founding date?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the United States is born July 4th, 1776.
Right. Well, that's a real easy one.
There's a disagreement among historians and therefore among astrologers as to the exact timing, which sort of sets up where the map of the solar system that we call the chart, the birth chart, the natal chart. So there's some, variance there, but if you know exactly when something happened, then you can when you know it happened at exactly a specific time, you can cast a chart for it. So yeah, some countries are easier than others. I know like New York City was formed by an edict that started on January 1st in the 1800s, one year in the 1800s. So all the boroughs of New York have the same birth time as New York City.
Oh.
They're off because of the geometry based on their position. The map puts us at the center of our universe, the natal chart, but we're all in different relationships to the equator. So Brooklyn's is a little couple arc minutes different than Queens, for example. But yeah, those are the basics.
That little bit of distance makes a difference in the astrological map?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it depends on the things that are happening. But yeah, for example, the classic conundrum of some astrologers is identical twins, or in my brother and his wife's case, they had triplets. But they were, they came out about a minute or so apart. So you're able to differentiate. And you may not notice it as much in the natal chart, but what happens in the natal chart is we end up having two charts. We have the chart, and then we have the planets keep moving. So they're frozen in time for the moment you were born, but they keep moving. And how do they interact with where they were when you were born? That sets up the challenges in life and also the things that come easy to us. So, as you're born, the Earth's constantly spinning. So the 1 minute, everything just shifts a little, and it's subtle, but it's much more noticeable in people's lives when they're born a few minutes apart, when a slower planet interacts with 1 degree of a birth chart and another person, it might happen a few years later based on how slow that outer planet is, especially Neptune and Pluto. They're just so slow that when they're somewhere on the chart, they're there for quite a bit of time. So being born a little bit after somebody just alters these things just a little, but it's, you got to sit there and it's a lot of number. I told somebody the other day, if the day I started getting into astrology, the first page of the book said, you're going to be doing a lot of math. Right now I'd be giving you a tarot card reading because I didn't even realize I was doing math. As I tracked down some of this stuff. And finally I was at a social event talking about astrology, and this person said to me, you realize you're calculating a logarithm in your head. And I was like, oh, if the astrology book had said you will be doing logarithms here, that would. So I was really glad that the astrology books, the way they introduce it to you is so it's that whole carrot on a stick thing as you learn, like, I'm learning a little more, motivated to learn. And we all start off learning about ourselves. So by the time you get into studying like a city or a state or a country's birth chart, it's, when it comes to Ukraine though, I really stick to Putin's. I mean, it's his decision. If Putin wakes up tomorrow and says, let's call the whole thing off. I mean, not that that's going to happen, but we could only look at Putin's chart. And he started off with some grand designs as some of the intelligence has come out lately. But ultimately right now, especially, he's a Scorpio rising, and this Mars right now is retrograde. Where Mars is in the zodiac and where we are on Earth, it appears to be going back. Mars appears to be going backwards. It's not really going backwards. We're all spinning at the same rate, but sometimes our position in alignment with the others, the other planets seem to slow down and all of a sudden shift and go the other way. And as we keep moving. So Mars is the ruler of Scorpio. If you're a Scorpio rising, if you're a Scorpio, or also Mars rules Aries, right now is a time where some of the actions you've taken recently are probably being thwarted, not necessarily going as you want. maybe you feel painted into a corner. Putin certainly does. Nobody gets to his position without having a personality type of being a domineering person. So it's not like he's going to stop despite the obstacles or the challenges. The problem is the decisions you make under a retrograde like this compound. So you make a bad decision, then this ruling planet goes retrograde, and you make another bad decision, and it's like a geometric progression of terribleness. I don't see things ending well for Putin. It's almost a matter though of not if but when.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, the U.S. is spending less than 1% of its budget to really hand it on a silver platter, cold, to its greatest international enemy, other than perhaps the People's Republic of China. But so the value created to the United States to at least keep this enemy in everything. You know that if you collaborate with Putin, it's not treason, specifically because he's not defined. Russia's not defined as an enemy of the U.S. right now. People say, "Oh, what this politician's doing?" It's not treason. It may be even more treasonous than some people who've been convicted of treason in the past. Right. Those were specific enemies. The Soviet Union was in the 40s was a sworn enemy of the United States. Hence, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg could be tried for treason. Right. So, but the Soviet Union, the Russia of today has never been defined as an enemy, and as such, it's not treasonous, despite in practical terms of the adjective treason, not the law treason, two different things. Right. But the adjective treason, collaborating with Putin is treasonous. So to spend less than 1% of your budget to keep this grand, all but officially declared enemy completely off the rockers is.
Russia recently been declared a terrorist nation, or
they're trying to get that designation. I think Zelensky is the one who is pushing for that. But yeah, and especially once you work through the UN, you're operating on UN terms. It's almost like the way I've found geopolitically the United Nations. It's about getting something announced in the United Nations takes a lot of work, but that's easy to get a United Nations something to actually get enacted. I say it's like it might be easier to get something enacted in Middle Earth and have the Lord of the Rings help you out than it actually make a difference than with the United Nations. So yeah.
Now, with a guy like Putin, or with anybody for that matter, but thinking of him, can you see anything in his chart that would indicate that there are, people about that are maybe getting ready to betray him? Or would that have to be, you'd have to see their charts? Or
yeah, right now, interesting. I believe one of the reasons he did this was because of some of the domestic tension. As a Scorpio rising, Vladimir Putin right now has the planet Uranus in his the partnership section, the one-on-one section. This makes one-on-one relationships very unreliable, very chaotic. New players that you didn't imagine all of a sudden enter. So, for example, you would have to have been 3 years ago the ultimate geopolitical nerd to see Volodymyr Zelensky as a threat or tense with Vladimir Putin. Underestimated? Very much so. The assumption was, the United States is like, hey, the invasion's going to happen. We got to get you out of there. And he was like, I'm not leaving. I'm the president. I'm staying here. So
he said, don't send me a ride. I don't need a ride. Send me ammunition.
Yeah. So Putin could have never imagined that. Just thought he was another of the global elite. He was named in the Panama Papers as having secret accounts of money stashed internationally. So, hey, he thought this was going to be a cakewalk. So having little things like that. So the critical thing right now for Putin is his inability to rely on any relationship. Xi Jinping at the Winter Olympics. yes, we're going to let you have your little special war. All of a sudden, Xi Jinping's kind of back. Well, this is getting a little messy.
This is not the time for war, he said.
Yeah, so exactly. So he thought it was going to be a 10-day thing. So again, when the planet Uranus is in your seventh house, your partnership section, and what it is, he's a Scorpio rising, and the planet Uranus is now in Taurus, opposite Scorpio. You cannot rely on these one-on-one relationships. You just can't rely on them. And so, yeah, it's extreme. I'll explain something interesting about the astrophysics of Uranus. It was discovered in the late 1700s, about the time Ben Franklin had put the key on the pipe and got the electricity to zap it and proved, that electricity could be harnessed. Major accomplishment. But Uranus is kind of seen as this electric planet, and it's a planet of kind of upsets. The French Revolution happened right at the time that Uranus was getting known to the astrologers. Okay, so here it's the late 1700s, early 1800s, and the astrologers all agree Uranus is a planet of disruption. Fast forward 200 years, and NASA sends a probe past the planet, and they say, there's an interesting fact about it is instead of spinning on its axis vertically, like most planets, like Earth is, it's tilted slightly, and it spins. Uranus spins 2 degrees above its equator. It's spinning like this as it moves around. Here's the thing, though. It has a ring that's vertical, like Saturn. It's not as thick as Saturn's ring, not as wide as Saturn's ring, but it's well-defined. So here's this disruptive spinning 200 years after the astrologers figured that out.
Wow.
Fascinating. So Uranus, wherever it is in your chart, the eccentricities come out, the disruptions come out. So when it's in your 7th house, like, for example, you will see in a lot of rock stars' charts that there was a 7-year period where they were on the road, and that's the time where they were doing the albums. And so, you're on the road and you're meeting new people and doing wild things and it never stopped. And then one day it stops.
Yeah.
And then they're back home with the wife they don't even know anymore, and the whole narrative. But so you can find these consistencies when you study people's charts, and you're seeing it now with Putin. Is he cannot buy, which is his normal operating procedure, is to just buy loyalty, be it with rubles, dollars, oil, or Bitcoin. He buys people off, and he is finding it very difficult to find any stable ally. His generals have completely let him down. His oligarchs, everybody's robbed the treasury, the defense. None of the equipment works because they sold it.
My gosh! It's all some of those soldiers are using guns from the 1800s.
Exactly. Because the new ones that were procured and stored were stolen. Putin's got all this loyalty by having
never bought. I think
there's even a better one.
To buy yachts and
take the money and buy a yacht. Why not?
Super yachts. That's what this is all about.
Take the money and yacht. Let's go, Renee. Woohoo! Here we come.
I was watching one of your videos recently, your Astrology Blitz videos. I think I was on Instagram.
Yes,
or YouTube.
Instagram.
No, I was on TikTok maybe.
Okay.
Anyway, I was on one of those because you can go on either one of those, right? And look up Astrology Blitz and see.
Yeah, the tools.
When you were talking about Pluto.
Oh yeah.
And so, if I understood you right, Pluto kind of affects everyone in the same way. And like with Vladimir Putin, how would Pluto affect his chart, or is it?
Well,
of some great effect right now.
Oh man, get ready. Right now, Pluto has been in the zodiac sign Capricorn since 2008. It's very slow. It's way out there, and yes, it's still a planet. And so wherever Pluto is, because it's there so long, it's going to have a transformational effect. The planet, it just stays at the same degree of the 360-degree circle. And so whenever it is in that position, it's like a toothache. But if it's in a good position with your chart, It's like it's like rolling the dice and you can't lose, and you almost get bored with the game. It's so exciting. The excitement is so predictable. But so for Putin, he has had since 2008, the Pluto has been in the zodiac sign Capricorn, and that has been tense with his sun in Libra. He's a Libra. He's born October 5th, 1952. He when it goes into Scorpio, when it goes into Aquarius in a few years, it's going to be easy with Libra, but it's going to be tense with Vladimir Putin's Scorpio rising. So it doesn't get any easier for Putin with Pluto's transit. Now, one of the things about the tension from Pluto is if you can meet the challenge, and earlier, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, let me do the math here. Yeah, 8 years ago, he took over the Crimea with nary a shot fired. Why? He had set his ducks in a row, but he hadn't planned for this. So he was getting everything he wanted for many years because he had worked to get it. But when he made that one intense move to get the Ukraine, he hadn't counted on so many things. And the thing is, Pluto is the power planet. He was lined up to seize power. He had already built an infrastructure to have a plebeian vote, a fake vote to take over. But none of this relied. He just assumed that Zelensky was another global elite. He really underestimated Biden's commitment to say, look, this is the best bargain the U.S. has ever had, to spend so little money relative to our national budget. And
he might have done that because, of course, President Obama was in office when he took Crimea, and he said, I think Obama had said, I'm drawing a line here, and then they did it, and then nothing happened. So I don't understand what happened with all that, but I feel like that could have contributed to his, bravado. And
it emboldened him. But when you get blind to power, when you get blind to the realities, Pluto will remind you, oh, you thought of everything. But time marches on. So yeah, Pluto is still in Capricorn for another next year. It's an interesting phenomenon. Next year in March, Pluto will actually enter Aquarius. Then it'll retrograde out. Then in 2024, it'll go in for a little bit, retrograde back out. Then 2 years from now, the end of 2024, Pluto will go into Aquarius, and it will be in there for about 19 years. So the next couple of years are going to be very disruptive. And all I have to say to you is the last time Pluto changed signs was 2008. What happened in 2008? There was a global recession based on
that's right.
Yeah, and everybody, the real estate can never, and the subprime mortgages are the way we're going to, unite and get everybody of every income level their own house. And it just, these delusions collapsed on everybody. So the same things are really in place right now. How they're going to play out. The problem I have found with predictions is you could ask an economist how something is going to play out, and you can ask an astrologer how something is going to play out. And their prediction could be right or wrong, but what it will really do is it will illustrate their worldview. So if I tell you, Pluto going into Aquarius is going to mean the workers unite and we finally have a wonderful, beautiful socialist revolution, you're going to go, see, my hope of a communist plot manifesting, if I was a commie, and just as much as I could say Pluto going into Aquarius would mean the libertarians will finally take control of the political dialogue in this country and blah, blah, blah. You go, he's a I'm not telling you about Pluto. I'm not telling you about Aquarius. I'm telling you about my viewpoint. So
right.
I have found I try to be as removed from any hope or worry or wish that I really wish this happens.
Right.
But yeah. So I can promise you that the consistency wherein Pluto changing signs creates chaos, good and tense.
Oh.
For example, when Pluto was in Scorpio, which is a sign that's really known for two things in astrology, sex and death. When Pluto entered...
What else is there?
How we start, how we finish. When Pluto entered Scorpio is when the HIV virus was actually...
goodness.
It's the cause of what they called back then GRID, gay-related immunodeficiency.
Right.
The cause of AIDS GRID was a virus. Oh, it's viral. That's going to be a lot tougher to go. So when I first started studying astrology, Pluto was still in Scorpio. And I said, in 1995, Pluto is going to go into Sagittarius, which is a sign that's really aligned with learning. And I said, they are going to discover, and that's when they discovered the protease inhibitors that, the pills that now HIV, as terrible as it is to still have, and as people are still dying from it, if you get HIV and you have diabetes, or if two people, one has HIV, one has diabetes, they have similar life expectancies, similar, like you got to take your medicine every day.
Yeah.
You got to see the doctor all this often. It's about as treatable, not to minimize either one.
Look at people that we know were diagnosed years ago.
Exactly, and they're still living. So
Magic Johnson still going strong.
Exactly. Whereas people who were diagnosed with it just a few years before Magic didn't live long enough to be able to take the pills. All the loss of life in 93, 94, even early 95, till they finally said, hey, we found not necessarily a cure, but something that could really extend, and then they've improved on it since. That was Pluto and Sagittarius. That was one of the positives. So when Pluto, we are the moral arbiters that say things are good or bad. The Khmer Rouge, when they killed people, said, reincarnation. We're just helping them get to their next life. They used reincarnation as an excuse. Like, no. We're not murdering them. We're just helping them get to their next reincarnation. So the good or bad can always be warped by the human mentality. But you will always, as human beings, will always answer to the force of these planets out there. So it's good to know where are they, and not necessarily what are the specific things that are going to happen. I mean, the easiest thing to do right now would be to say, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, Aquarius is a sign that's known as groups of people, large groups, the masses. It's both appeal to the masses and tension with the masses. Think of the French Revolution, but think of Franklin Delano Roosevelt was an Aquarian when he gave the fireside chats so that there wasn't a run on the bank, and single-handedly stopped there from the Great Depression becoming even more exacerbated simply by having this appeal to a large number of people. So that's the Aquarian, that's the good side, and the tense side of Aquarian. Not that the French Revolution was a walk in the park, but one can imagine that historically.
Depending on which side you were on, yeah.
Well, if you're
people, I think it turned out okay.
Well, yeah, no. I was just going to say, but the leaders of the revolution ended up getting their heads chopped off. So
yeah,
exactly. So a lot of that was happening too. So again, the morality of it, good and bad, is just a narrative that we tell ourselves when we look in the mirror. But the force of Pluto, the easiest thing for me right now would be to say, okay, Aquarius, we the people. Pluto, inexorable change. It's going to be when Pluto moves in, it's going to be really change the way that we gather, the way crowds interact. It's going to be, and then 4 years from now, you go, well, yeah, I could justify what I said. Forget it. I want you, Renee, and I want anybody watching this to just think about, like, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. Capricorn is the establishment, the established way of doing things. Think of government entities that have grown more powerful since 2008. Think of established entities that were so transformed we don't even recognize them before. Here's one. In 2008, there was an absolute, undeniable, no matter where you went in the United States, at least, and most of the world, a taxi monopoly. And you had to buy a taxi badge. And people would buy the badges like they would buy stocks, bonds, and investments. And so that badge, if you had 10 of them, that means you had 10 taxi cabs running all the time and you were making money. You would sell your interest. You would lease your interest in a taxi medallion in New York City to the taxi companies because you were a rich guy who had managed to bid at auction $100,000, $200,000 for a taxi.
Wow.
Uber and Lyft come along, boom. Taxis, what they were, taxi. Maybe in New York City. There's certainly been some regulations that came back, but it has forever changed. Rideshare, even as much as they attack the gig economy, rideshare, the people want it and the people will have it. So even though the politicians love that, because it's great because you've got the big donor is buying these taxi medallions, so they're greasing the politicians. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Uber and Lyft show up. And what? Wait a minute. What? So this whole chain, and sure, they can fight it. They can fight against it. But it shows you that the need for the government to stop what it's doing, to fight change, is just as much work as it is for us to address the government. So that's Pluto. We have to look at it in those mega terms, to look at it. I've got so many astrology books, so many old astrology books, and so few of them make accurate predictions. But some astrologers on the occasion will make shockingly accurate predictions.
And what do you see in Iran with the women? And do you see coming up anything positively or negatively? I mean, honestly, I know they're really cracking down, and I mean they've been cracking down since day one on the protesters. That's why they're protesting in the first place. But it doesn't seem to be quelling their enthusiasm, and it reminds me a bit of the French Revolution. In how the people just rose up in the streets and just said, we're not taking it anymore. And in a way, with China as well. I mean, it's a similar thing. But
and we can hope for more when Pluto goes into Aquarius with the people. However, here's an interesting fact of history that's often overlooked. Think back to Tiananmen Square, the absolute merciless murder of tens of thousands. Who knows what the number was?
Yeah,
absolutely. Where they ground them into what they called a soup.
They ran over them with tanks.
Yeah, they shot them with automatic artillery and then ran over the bodies with tanks until it was a soup that they could just hose away into the sewers. Now, the day of the Tiananmen massacre, the Tiananmen Square massacre, the Ayatollah Khomeini died.
Oh.
It was a little it was a story this big.
Yeah.
Gilda Radner also died, interestingly enough. But
wow.
For all those years since 1979, the Iranian Revolution, you think, well, the day Khomeini dies, that's going to be the lead stuff. Nope. So it's interesting, this connection between China and Iran. So here we have China and Iran in the news. So what we do in astrology to basically describe my methodology, and I try to be rigorous. I'm sure there's people that I encounter all the time. I'll do what's called a TikTok live, and there'll be people commenting, and I have the people in the middle that are like wanting to learn about astrology, fascinated. Of course, they're always asking like, this girl I like is Sagittarius, and I'm a Pisces. So do we have a chance? That's the bread and butter of the industry. But I'm a nerd, so I really go in for some of these deeper thinking. But on these TikTok lives, people are making comments asking about what sign is their soulmate and stuff. But then you'll get two groups of people that they are actually diametrically opposed. Is the materialist scientists who only accept fact when you can show what you measure it with, and we don't know what force astrology has. We know there are gamma rays from stars that affect things on Earth, like especially mechanically. we know that when dogs urinate, they leave an ultraviolet image that we can't see, but other animals can.
They do?
Oh, yeah. Human beings, if we can't see it, when the James Webb telescope takes pictures, they show us infrared. Oh, look at those beautiful stars. It doesn't look like that to our eyes.
It's like a little luminol pee or something.
Yeah, because it's measuring the heat because you can't. So it's like so science, the ability to measure something, they have to say, well, what's the infrared's causing that. Let me show you a picture of the infrared. So they haven't come up with a spectrometer or whatever it might be that can measure the planetary effects. So I get criticized on TikTok live from these people. And then I get criticized from the evangelical Christians
oh my goodness,
I'm sure would critique just as much, saying that this is devil worship, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm getting it from both sides. So I'm always happy to entertain the guys saying, is the Sagittarius chick and I going to work it out? So, but I try to be, in my methodology, I try to be pretty rigorous. So my methodology on this is the first thing I do is I notice Iran and China are both in the news. When was the last time they both were like, headline topping things that involve masses of their people and their state? The Ayatollah Khomeini's funeral is one of the 5 largest gatherings in human history. That more people.
Gosh, I had no idea.
And millions of people. When the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, it was like in the top 15, definitely the biggest ever in the history of the United States. But the mass of people that went to downtown Chicago.
Right.
That's the only one in the United States. Most of these are when some gurus or political figures die in other countries. And the Ayatollah Khomeini dying was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like 10 millions and millions and millions of people. Google it. You'll see the exact numbers.
I will.
But so to think, okay, Tiananmen Square. So I said, what happened? I can look at my book of planetary charts positions. The one thing I found was that Jupiter, which is a planet of big things, again, the death of Khomeini, like absolutely this mass of people who were affected by it one way, positively / negatively, or in their mind positively, even though their the standard of living in Iran, in pre-revolutionary Iran was higher than it is in post-revolutionary Iran because of sanctions, but on and on. So I look in June, I got my little book here of planetary positions, and I look and I see Jupiter is at 17 degrees Gemini. Now, why is that important? Follow me on this. Mars right now is retrograde. I was telling you about Vladimir Putin. This week, it has been retrograde at 17 degrees Gemini. So that's where I go, okay, so that is how I posit something happened. And when something happened again, where was the pattern? So now I've seen this pattern of 17 degrees Gemini. Okay. Oh. There's also in June of 1989, there were a number of planets in early Capricorn. And so we are going to see the sun enter Capricorn right before, like it always does, on the solstice, right before Christmas. And before that, later next week, Mercury and Venus are going to be entering Capricorn. So I don't believe these stories have left. I think these stories are going to have some legs. Some interesting things are going to happen. Right now, we've had the mass protests, fine. But what's going to happen when somebody hacks the China Great Wall, the Great Firewall of China? What's going to happen when someone hacks that and China can't fix it for 3 or 4 days? And for 3 or 4 days, the Chinese people can, what's going to happen when Iran, let's just say the Kurds in northern Iran all of a sudden start shooting down airplanes or something? I mean, I'm not making these predictions. I'm saying we have to think radically about game changer. So again, we have these. So when you look at these planetary positions, you start seeing what's going on. So a big one, retrograde Mars going over anything is like a big deal because Mars is only retrograde every 2.5 years. And again, it hasn't been retrograde in Gemini since the 1970s. So this is a thing that pops up and we have to deal with it. So am I making any sense?
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Am I talking? Was I talking?
No, I was worried. It's like
clucking.
I don't want to ever sound like I'm high and mighty and all you people down there have to listen to me. If somebody with a real science-oriented brain spent I don't know. I think they could, in 3 weeks, I could teach somebody who had a science aptitude everything I know, and they could certainly learn more than me. And I have tons of reference books, but it's not like I have this exclusive library. I studied astrology at the LA County Public Library. I mean, they had 400 books on astrology. 300 were probably plagiarized from each other, but it was a good 100-some books. But there was a real, there is a real methodology for this. It's based on when you look at your birth chart or any birth chart, you'll see the position of the moon from a geocentric Earth at the center, which Earth is not at the center, but we see things, we perceive them, and we can map them as such. And astrology believes that they therefore affect us. So NASA has the same thing. Earth's at the center, and there's the moon. We don't aim the rocket at the moon. We aim it at where the moon is going to move to. Where is the moon going to be based on how fast that rocket goes? This is a logarithm. This is a lot of astrology is based on this constant motion. Again, I don't want to be the high priest talking down to you. I want to say this is an interesting thing that I follow, and I have no problem discussing it. And if you ask me a question I don't know, I'm happy to say, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I got some books over there. It might take me a few weeks, and I Google stuff just like everybody else. And one of the problems, and I'll give a plug right here. I'm giving a live talk in February at the Conscious Life Expo.
Oh, wow.
At the LAX, the LA International Airport Hilton in February. I believe it's, oh God, do I have to look up if I have to look up the data? It's the Saturday, the second week of February.
Conscious Life Expo in LA.
The Conscious Life Expo at the Hilton.
Yeah, it's easy to find. Any of you are in Los Angeles
with a longer beard. I have this goatee, but the picture of me has a much longer beard. It's a very new age oriented expo that I'm really happy to be a part of. There's a lot going on, and I'm giving a talk. And one of the things is how when you meet an astrology snob, of which I really don't fancy myself as one, they always say, oh, it's so much more sophisticated than the sun sign astrology, right? And then that's on one extreme. And then you see these people on social media or, just online or, have their blog or Facebook or whatever. And they are talking about the most obscure little thing in astrology as if it's this big epic thing. It's like, So the people who don't know anything are talking about the minutia, and the people who know the minutia are talking down to anybody who doesn't know all their. So I'm giving a talk about wanting to just simplify and yet not disregard these fundamental methodologies.
Right.
Anyway, it's going to be fun.
Normalize it a little bit. Doesn't have to,
thank you, Renee.
Have to be so ooky spooky.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to bring it up, but we've just had the midterms elections here in the United States of America, and everybody kind of knows how they came out a little less than the GOP expected, and a little more, I think, than the Democrats expected.
Yeah.
But so, in other words, we're sort of almost at a, even Steven. Well, as of right this moment, we are even Steven in the Senate. And whoever wins this Georgia race, then will, but we're already. The ownership of the Senate has already been decided. This extra vote will just be, for either Warnock or Walker, will just give their parties, that little bit more edge. So it's not quite as tense as it could have been. So now that we're through that, for the most part, what do you see going forward? Because honest to God, I've never seen this country in such an uproar as it's been over the last few years. Mm-hmm. And some of the extremes are just ridiculous and terrifying.
Yeah, I the one big thing, and I've already talked about it, is this Mars retrograde in Gemini. I'll give you one example outside the political realm, and then I'll go into the political realm.
Yeah.
There is a Gemini in the news right now, And if this Gemini had watched some of my social media videos, I'm Astrology Blitz on Instagram and TikTok. This media figure, if they had taken my advice, I told Geminis when Mars moved into Gemini, I said, when it goes retrograde at the, near the end of October, you're going to want to lay low. They say no press is bad press, but this is, if you open your mouth, if there's anything involving you, you want to go to Tahiti and pick fruit off a tree and watch the waves come in until Mars moves direct, and you even want to wait a little week or two after that. So see at the end of January. So who is the Gemini who has been opening his mouth and destroying every shred of his credibility and career? Kanye West.
Yay.
I'm going to let you guess. I'm sorry. So Kanye has been absolutely, he ruined it. So who's a Gemini?
It's like, absolutely, it's like walking out and picking up a sledgehammer and just knocking yourself in the head.
Well,
what he's doing.
Who is the political person who's a Gemini? Donald Trump. What did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump is a Gemini. He
ran out there and declared his candidacy.
He declared his candidacy. Well, the candidacy, I immediately said, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. A Gemini declaring his candidacy for president. So, by the way, so did Kanye. During Mars retrograde in Gemini it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So, but in addition to that, Trump, you look ahead, the astrologer would look ahead and say, look, the election is while Mars is retrograde in Gemini. So you don't want to advertise your influence. You don't want to have your candidates. If you look at the Republicans who did win and did win well, they were very classic, boring, fiscal nerd. The
Governor Kemp in Georgia. Yep.
The fiscal nerdy Republicans of the days gone by won in Florida.
Yeah.
They won in New York State, which is one of the most democratic states, but they had this square, old school, nerdy, financially conservative, tough on crime Republican. People are like, oh, I want to be bored with politics again. And even though he lost, his coattails brought in so many people because remember, how many votes for Biden were votes against Trump? Millions and millions and millions. So Trump, not seeing any of this, not employing an astrologer like Reagan did, boom. So the Donald Trump glow.
Yeah.
If he had laid low and just said, right now, I'd like to say I'm the elder party statesman of the Republican Party, and hopefully we'll decide what to do in 2023, like every sane, rational politician does. But no, Trump's got to do it his way. And you know what? America's really tired. Even Trump's supporters are tired of him, and they understand his negatives outweighing his positives. And that when that Mars is retrograde in Gemini, and even the Trump hardcores are saying, I love Trump, I'd do anything for him, great American, blah, blah, blah. But I'm voting we got to get DeSantis in there because they understand the liability. That's what Mars retrograde in your zodiac sign does. It makes everybody, any action, because Mars is a planet of action. It's the ancient planet of war. It's assertiveness. It's masculinity. It rules the male drive in all genders. It's like, that I'm going to get him, So when Mars is retrograde in your sign, every action you take, people just see its weakness instead of its strength. And so those, the eras, the Trump eras.
So it's Donald Trump,
Kanye West,
Kanye, and me.
Oh no! Well, you had a few remember the technical difficulties at the beginning of the.
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were saying that. I was thinking, no wonder I'm screwing up everything.
A lot of it too. I mean, one of the philosophy of astrology is like, you could be born the same day, year, even close to the same time as a famous person in history, and you may see the rhythm of your life kind of following them, but you're on a smaller level. If you were born in a small town, maybe that gives you some advantages. Like you have an easier life. You get to know people a little deeper. And that helps you when you move to the big city to make it. Meanwhile, somebody born in the big city is brought down and all they want to do is get out of there. And so the strategy in your life is you're born on the same day and then you moved at the same time. And one guy's being born here and then moving there was great. Whereas the other guy, he thought he was making the great move. And maybe he was for his own personal accomplishment. But to say, I don't believe in astrology because I was born the same day as Ronald Reagan and I never became a movie star and a politician. So you follow, but it's not what's fated in the stars. It's the move you make when the opportunity arises. And it's a pattern. There's a pattern in the sky where the planets are. When you make a good choice, that pattern is reinforced in a good way. When you make a strong choice, it's reinforced in a strong way. When you make a bad choice, guess what? There's a lot of self-destructive aspects in astrology. So another thing about Trump real quick is he was born on a lunar eclipse and he announced that candidacy right after a lunar eclipse. And those things are not to be toyed with. There's a whole study of eclipses. It's a very potent part of astrology.
Well, I'm going to have to start paying better attention. Yeah, it's the only other person that I remember besides my grandfather that had the same birthday. It's me. Well, but I share a birthday with the Marquis de Sade.
Folks.
I don't get it.
Oh man.
Yeah. I've got a lot of distinguished people.
Well, I was born. I share a birthday, not the same year as Brigitte Bardot. So, and isn't it terribly apparent?
Very nice.
So there you have it.
Very, very nice. And the Marquis de Sade. I've always been very proud.
Okay,
very, very proud.
You got a great library there, but you've hit the whips and chains quite well, Renee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're in there. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I did want to comment. I don't know if he's still with us, but our historian James was in the chat room. And I'm just wondering if he could be in the chat room. Why isn't it that he could not be with us on this show tonight? Just because he's lounging in Tenerife.
Oh, they have the internet there too.
He does because he's in the chat room. But anyway, no, he'll be back next week, hopefully. He may never come back. But we miss you, James. And I'll be speaking with you over the weekend. So I won't let him off the hook that easily. We're going to work this weekend on a couple things. But anyhow, and again, if people want to reach Matt or check him out, Astrology Blitz on TikTok and Instagram. He also does private readings. I have no idea. He's probably some big celebrity, highfalutin astrologer. I have no idea. But what if they want just a reading? Do they contact you on Instagram or?
Yeah, message me. I'm also there's WhatsApp. I'm Astrology Blitz on WhatsApp. You can contact me
on WhatsApp as well.
On WhatsApp and on. Yes, on Instagram, I'm Astrology Blitz. And I do readings via Zoom. And at the end, you get a recording of your reading. So it's
anywhere.
I charge $110 for an hour reading. And I have clients all over the world. I'm in Los Angeles. I stay up till midnight and give readings for people in London having their breakfast. And then at 1 a.m., it's when people get off work in New Zealand. So it's like all over the world now. So it's been great. And I will say TikTok and Instagram to a lesser degree. I will say a lot of the propaganda about TikTok that's come out has come out once when Facebook's stock really dropped. All of a sudden TikTok was a problem. So TikTok's been very good about I've gotten a lot of new customers to get readings through that. So it's a more dynamic form. And maybe through Renee Barnett, though. So that'll be great.
Yeah. Everybody can contact me, and I'll be happy to connect you with Matt. You can contact me at info@newrennies.org. And I should put up that banner so you can see it, info@newrennies.org.
Awesome.
Looks like we're pretty much out of time. I want to thank you again, Matt, for coming back. And
thanks for having me. It was a blast. I could gab about this. I get you through TikTok. It's like a 3-minute video, so it's great.
I know. It's like I kept having to watch one after the other. But anyhow, thank you so much.
Oh,
I hope to come back again soon.
Anytime. It was so fun.
Oh, thank you. Take care, everybody. Have a great week next week.